Yeah, there's a lot of really interesting, one-liners that totally explain a lot of different things that have come up in the MCU that we'll talk about as they come up. But this was one because Howard Stark, young Howard Stark, helping Steve build the shield, was like, that's the only one we got. That's all the.
And we lost it in ice.
And we lost it in ice. But now we know that in the first movie when Steve is swinging that silver shield, we know that this was given by T'Chaka's father.
Yeah, it was not given by
T'Challa's
T'Chaka.
grandfather.
Welcome back to the Breakroom, everybody. This is Inside Marvel. It's our new Rockstars Marvel show. Now we're keeping up with the What If vibes. Now we got to talk the new group that have come together in this episode of What If, episode 2. But before we go any further, let me introduce myself. I am your resident supervillain, Mr. J. Washington. Joining me today, Mr. Tom Michelsen.
Hey, how's it going, guys? Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, whenever you're watching this.
Yeah, if you were on the bus, if you were at a bus station, hopefully you were in a Breakroom.
Yeah.
If you were at an airport, stuck at your seat because they didn't change the flight. If you were taking a train because you just was like, I want to see the scenic route. Or if you're stuck in a car on a freeway, which a lot of people seem to be. Look, hopefully you rock it with the new Rockstars
Or if you're
family.
getting yelled at by a relative because it's that time of year, hopefully you're surviving and we're keeping you company.
Yeah, while you ignore them and watch new Rockstars.
Watching What If and new Rockstars. Yeah.
Man, look, we appreciate you. So listen, it's the holidays, folks, which means some of these after shows might not be as timely as you want them. Let me tell you what that means. Yes, these episodes are going to air during this holiday break. Different things are going to happen. Are you going to absolutely get all of these after shows, Inside Marvel, everything else we're going to talk about right afterwards? Probably not. So be patient. We're going to try to get them out as soon as we can. So keep your eyes on the new Rockstars and the Breakroom channel. We're going to have them up as best as we can do, but absolutely no
It's the holidays, guys. Yeah, I mean, we're out doing stuff too, hanging out with family, enjoying the holidays. So just give us a chance.
Some people ain't enjoying the holidays. We're just taking a break.
That's true.
Let's take a
gonna
break.
sit on that couch over there for about 4 days.
Man,
doing
listen.
nothing.
Before everybody want to chill, so listen, just be patient. I know a lot of people in the comments. I know a lot of the avid viewers and the watchers. You all love everything that we do for you all here at the Breakroom, at New Rockstars, and you want to hear our thoughts on everything, and we want to give you our thoughts. But the thing is, it's for holidays, so you got to do what's called chill the hell out. All right?
That's what we're gonna do.
But before we go any further, real quick, I want to make sure that you go sure and check out nerdriot.shop where you can grab all the latest and greatest of new Rockstars gear. Now look, we got mugs, rugs, mouse pads with the Loki Ascension image. It's so much more. And keep an eye out over the next week because you never know if some themed merchandise will appear, all right? So head over to nerdriot.shop, support the channel, check out all the great merch over there. Again, nerdriot.shop. And while you're here, don't forget to subscribe to this channel and the other channels in the new Rockstar Network, like Deep Dive, okay? Make sure you won't see when Voss goes deep into not Evan.
Breaks everything
Because we
down.
got Evan in his hole and Evan somewhere else. Where Eric Voss goes deep into his hole, deep dive in it. But stay tuned with everything we got. All right, so let's do a quick recap of the episode, all right?
Let's do it.
Now, we see what would have happened if Yondu actually delivered Peter Quill to Ego. Now remember, in Guardians of the Galaxy, he never did, so that was the whole thing. Now Quill gets his celestial powers at 8 years old, and Ego gets his most powerful tool in accomplishing the expansion. He's able to finally activate the ceilings spread across the galaxy. Now this episode with Peter's arrival on Earth, fighter jets are shooting down his ship, causing him to crash land in New York, 1988. And upon his arrival, you found out he has nuclear level powers that make the news. And guess who has to deal with it? Howard Stark and Peggy Carter. And they decide to do what? Form a team. That's the best thing you do. I mean, look, you realize, hey, we got some fighter jets here. We got a little bit of the army on the back. We got the military in general. But this ain't gonna be enough.
No, it's not gonna be enough, and that's why you needed that moment of the Marvel version of we're putting together a team.
You always gotta have, no matter what, you're always gonna get a team together. And who is the first person they decide to call? I think it's very apropos that the first person Howard Stark has to call is arguably his great, like somebody who can't stand him but knows they work magic when they're together.
Yep.
And it's Hank Pym, who is having dinner with a young Hope, which is dope. You see the rhyme? Yep. But you also realize too that Janet is gone now at this point.
Yeah, because she's been trapped in the quantum realm,
right.
and as far as they know, she's totally gone and never coming back. So this is before Michelle Pfeiffer ever gets brought back into the MCU.
Yeah, before we get back Michelle Pfeiffers, okay? Yes, Pfeiffers, we pronounce our P's around here. So you get Hank Pym, right? And the first time I love it when he calls, Howard Stark is on the phone, Hank just hangs up. He picks it back up, he's like, hey, for you hang up on me. Check out the news, please.
Yeah, just turn on your TV.
Turn on your TV before you hang up on me. But who's next in the recruiting? King T'Chaka. Yeah. Do it again. It's Academy Award winner, ladies and gentlemen. King T'Chaka. He is T'Challa's father, and he is the Black Panther before him. Now, remember, we've seen a bit of him in these previous episodes. We saw him in the actual first Black Panther film. And then what you notice in a little bit of brief conversation, Stark says, we're glad that you're working with us just like your father did.
Yeah, there's a lot of really interesting, one-liners that totally explain a lot of different things that have come up in the MCU that we'll talk about as they come up. But this was one because Howard Stark, young Howard Stark, helping Steve build the shield, was like, that's the only one we got. That's all the.
And we lost it in ice.
And we lost it in ice. But now we know that in the first movie when Steve is swinging that silver shield, we know that this was given by T'Chaka's father.
Yeah, it was not given by T'Chaka's
grandfather.
Right, because we always were under the impression that it was T'Chaka that gave that level of vibranium, and it wasn't.
Right.
So it's T'Chaka's father. So this could potentially, like you just said, expand this universe even further.
Oh, yeah.
We've got the Wakanda animated series coming to Disney Plus soon, so we don't know how far that's going to go. We don't know where we can go with this lore. Again, these are all what ifs, but this what if actually ties into the actual 616. I think it's 1999.
I do too.
I'm on the 1999.
I do too.
I think it ties into that universe, all right?
Yeah.
Up next, this was a shock. Bill Foster, a.k.a. Goliath.
Dope.
Dude,
yeah.
Hank Pym's peer and collaborator, Lawrence Fishburne's character in Ant-Man and the Wasp. And the fact that this is what he's been doing. He only grows.
Right.
He only grows.
This Morpheus grows. And
Morpheus?
Morpheus. Oh, he's Morpheus. Yeah, he's Morpheus in this. It was really exciting to have him back. It's one of those, Lawrence Fishburne is one of those people, when I hear his voice, I'm like, oh snap, they got him. Granted, everybody's an A-lister in this, but I was so happily surprised to see that they got Lawrence Fishburne to come and do this animated show.
I think because it's not that difficult for them to do.
Sure.
You're just in the booth.
Yeah.
You're just in the booth recording some audio, recording your lines.
Yeah.
You're not on set for extensive hours of the
Right.
day. You're not taking out a whole maybe 1-2 days of your schedule to do this and being tired. You come in your pajamas.
And you're getting that Disney money.
And you get Disney money, it's easy to come back. Now, this next one was interesting because they brought back Wendy Lawson, a.k.a. Mar-Vell.
Yes, the original Captain Mar-Vell.
She was Mar-Vell, right.
Yes.
She's a Kree scientist who was the leader of Project Pegasus in the first Captain Marvel. Now, before I go there, this is, again, episode 1, you got Jan Rog, Jude Law's character. Now you get Wendy Lawson.
Yeah.
So you would think that's the team complete, and it's not. You find out one more person has been added, and Russia sends over, which is a great addition, the Winter Soldier. Wow. And here's why. Wow. Because Mikhail Gorbachev, again, we're talking 1988, knew that the potential of Peter could be dangerous to the world, Russia included, so he sent the most dangerous thing that he had, the Winter Soldier. Now, Peggy and Howard note that he looks exactly like Bucky, but keep it to themselves.
And Peggy even says along the lines of like, I heard the rumors that it could be him, and it looks just like him. So it really brings up that brings up a whole nother bunch of questions: is how much did they know or think that it could be Bucky? Because now, using that information, if we fast forward to Civil War, when Bucky, meets Howard and his mom Maria after the car accident. Is that the first time that Howard Stark might have seen Bucky since World War II? Well, at that moment, we don't know.
I get where you're going, but you got to remember that's a different timeline.
Right. Well, but they're laying the seeds for like what people know. So that's why it's interesting to say like, wait, in our universe, did Peggy and Howard know that maybe Bucky was the Winter Soldier? We don't know. Yeah, this is crazy.
There's a lot of things that, again, with multiverses, I've always said on different Breakroom episodes and whatnot. There's certain things that are similar. And some things that change.
Canon events, right?
They're canon events, no matter what. There are these things that are fixed no matter what happens. You cannot change it no matter what.
Right.
And like I brought up earlier, you got a Hope Van Dyne in there because Janet is lost thanks to S.H.I.E.L.D. We don't know where she's gone.
Thanks, S.H.I.E.L.D. Yeah. So this unlikely group of pre-Vengers, I like to call them the pre-Vengers, groups up and tries to take out Peter at Coney Island. Well, while they're there, they actually get Peter to take out his own egg ship, and that proves that they're no match for his powers, and they're forced to retreat. Before Peter can finish them off once and for all, boom, lightning strikes, cue Led Zeppelin, Thor swoops in and saves the day. Now, for a split second,
I thought it was Odin.
I thought it was Odin.
I thought it was Odin.
And then, but as soon as Thor's there, I was like, wait, he's thousands of years old. Of course.
It works.
Of course it's going to be Thor.
I think it worked either way.
Yeah. If it was Odin, I would have not complained.
I don't think you'd
at all.
And to everybody in the comments watching, let us know if you would have complained if you thought if it was actually Odin. If they'd have had
Anthony Hopkins.
Anthony Hopkins voicing Odin just to come down for that.
I have nothing wrong. I have
nothing wrong with Thor.
Oh, no.
Just want to make sure everybody understands. There's nothing wrong with Thor being there.
Nothing
it's
wrong.
just this time at 1988, like Tom just said, it's 1,000 years.
Right.
You could have used either one.
Right. And they've set up in this episode that we're watching, the OG pre-Avengers, like I said, that were coming in. So it makes sense that, the pre-Thor, which is Odin, would have arrived. That's all we're saying. That's all.
Right, absolutely.
Yeah. So they capture Peter, they put him away in a cell that's very reminiscent to the one that Loki was in the first Avengers film, which is also interesting because in Avengers, they specifically say that this was built to contain something stronger like the Hulk. So in this universe, in the 80s, they already have this kind of a jail cell. I was like, I started going crazy, guys. I was like, wait, are we going to see like some Ross, Thunderbolt Ross being like a Red Hulk? Maybe he already built some chamber. Or they're just trying to tie everything. I don't know. I was just ready to see whatever and anything come up.
It's 88, so I'm assuming Banner's accident has to be in the 90s.
Or 2000s.
That's what I'm saying. Banner's accident has to be way later. Right. But remember, we're talking, again, the one thing that seems to be canon throughout all of the universes in What If, Fury, S.H.I.E.L.D., and all these things know that there's something more out there.
Yeah, and Ross, as in the original Edward Norton movie, Ross has already been experimenting with super soldier.
He had been experimenting with it.
He knows about all that stuff.
Yes, he knows what the serum can do.
Theoretically, he could have already been experimenting, figuring stuff out. But yeah, this already exists at this time in 88.
Because you could have now he's on ice, but somebody similar to a Captain America, i.e. a Red Guardian,
Red Guardian,
soldier, things like people who were supposedly because it's believed that Bucky has it in him.
Right.
It's believed, but he doesn't have the full everything that Steve has.
Yeah, or he has like the Russian version.
The Russian version of it.
That Red Guardian got made.
Yeah, the version that doesn't give you every single thing, but also, I keep saying every time, Vita Rays. There we go.
Well, Thor gets them together and explains that Eagle's plan is already in motion. They've collected the seedling originally that was planted in Missouri that we saw in Guardians 2. And now they start to debate about what to do. And as they're doing that, we cut to Hope, who's dancing around with her cue the 80s drum fill, 80s jams, Never Surrender by Corey Hart. And that's when she comes across Peter in his jail cell. She talks to him for a little bit, and they bond about losing their mothers because, again, Hope's mom is lost in the quantum realm, and Peter's mom just died from cancer, as we saw in Guardians 1. So they have the same taste in music, and they both have Walkmans from their moms. Why wouldn't they be friends,
Well, technically, Peter doesn't have his anymore because the moment he got to his daddy was like, no, run it.
Let me see that thing real quick. Quack. Yeah.
Which, look, we already know Ego is a terrible father. Terrible father.
Yeah.
But the fact that he was like, oh, you like this? Yeah, there's some other better stuff to play with. I like my music.
Yeah, right. He was like, I brought music from Earth, the last thing I have from Earth, and he's like, here's a glowing ball. We're going to go play catch outside.
It's like ball in the cup.
Let me show you my
plan. Ball in a cup, it's a ball in a cup.
Exactly. I was like, oh, come on, Ego. That was the worst thing he could have done. Destroy Earth is second, break the Walkman first. Yeah. So Hope breaks Peter out using the Pym particles and Hank's badge and lets him board a bus to Missouri.
Because he wants to go home.
Guys.
Peter wants to go home. Peter, you realize a lot of these things, and we'll get to in a second. Now, the team is pissed at Hope, of course, rightfully so, and she explained that it's not Peter. It's his dad's fault. To which they later say, the girl is right. To which Peggy says, I need that on a t-shirt.
I need a poster of that and everything.
I'm going to tell you something. There's a lot of times my kids' moms, exes have said things, and I have found myself going, you know what? You're right.
Those are the most powerful things you can say to the mother of your kids. Yeah.
And not even saying it as a dismissive thing.
No.
Be like, you're right.
Yeah.
And then my daughter's mom one time, side note, was like, she pulled out a phone. She said, can you do me a favor? I was like, what? She's like, can you say that again? I was like, what are you doing? She's like, I'm recording this. So I can have it.
You're right.
She was like, no, can you say it with enthusiasm? I was like, you're right. So
say it like you mean it.
Now, as Ego is coming down to Earth to finish the job, he's aiming to get the ceiling for himself because he thinks that Peter's gone. He's like, you know what? I'll do it myself.
Yeah.
Now, while Thor, T'Chaka, and Bill Foster take on Ego, Wendy and Hank follow Peter to Missouri where they find him at his mother's grave. Now, Hank admits his feelings of grief, which allow him to bond with Peter. But in the shadows, Howard manages to talk Bucky from being the one to snipe down Peter, which we find out that the Russians had a secret mission for him. Yep. Bucky is sniped up, lined up, ready to give a headshot, which is
cold-blooded. He was about to take out that kid.
Crazy to see. Like, you're at a... Let me tell you something. I'm not gonna lie, y'all. Kind of wanted to see the headshot.
I actually wanted to see the headshot. So Bucky was able to be saved after, Civil War in our universe with Steve's help and everything that happened in Civil War. So I was like, there's no way he's gonna turn off of a phone call when he's got him in his sights.
But it's the way Howard does it.
That's true. This is the guy who I was gonna say who shot, Black Widow through and through. And
I wanted to see the headshot.
But they were, Russia must be serious about this threat because in our universe, the Winter Soldier is a myth, right? People don't even even Natasha is like, I don't even know if he's real or not, but I saw him once. And in this one, they're like, okay, we'll give you our best guy. And
we give you best guy.
We give you best guy.
Well, I think he's always been myth because he's never been seen.
Right.
It's been said there's this person that's done it.
Yeah.
But you've never seen it. And it wasn't until Civil War when he was finally outed, thanks to Zemo, where you're like, oh, he is real.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So going back to it, now just when it looks like Ego has the upper hand, Wendy's ship zooms back onto the scene, dropping Hank and Peter off. They intercept the ceiling and they head into the mountain that Ego built of himself. If it isn't, again, apropos, a creature called Ego builds a giant mountain of his own face. Okay? Now, Peter faces off against Ego, which is very reminiscent of Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, and even manages to call himself Star-Lord, the name he got from his mom. Now, he takes the power of the ceiling for himself, and he destroys Ego's corporeal form.
That's when the team gets together, has a celebratory dinner, and they celebrate with beers. And thank God Thor didn't want to break that nice light beer that they were celebrating in this time.
It's a light beer. Nice, more,
another. Bah! And Wendy does the very maybe not nice thing of giving the kids goose. Nothing like giving two small children an intergalactic alien that could swallow you whole.
With an interdimensional vortex in its stomach.
Right, that can hold hundreds of people, as we've learned. But Thor gets up to leave, and as he does, he lets them know that, hey, Ego's not taken out yet. As long as his planet exists, there'll be more of him to fight. And that's when the rest of them decide, hey, we want to fight as well. So we get an epic team shot at the end, slow motion style with everybody, including Goose and the kids.
Yes.
And then, boom, what if episode 2 over?
So here's the thing. You get a couple of things out of this. There's an argument at one point about size during the battle between Hank and Goliath. And T'Chaka says, are you two going to argue about stature?
Yeah, I caught that too.
Which is
Cassie
Lang's name.
Cassie Lang's superhero name.
That's her name. So you'll get that. Star-Lord is Star-Lord, right? But we don't know if he'll become the Star, like in this universe. He still is part, because his the body he saw is gone. He still is part celestial.
If Ego, as long as Ego's alive,
that's part of him, right?
Yeah, Peter has celestial powers.
Yeah, still has celestial abilities. So here's the big question. Ego's planet is still out there, right? Does that mean he could be the big bad for this season? Remember season 1, everything was overarching, and we didn't know until Ultron realized, wait, I could get these Infinity Stones and do something. And then the Watcher was like, wait, you can hear me?
Yeah, exactly. And he broke through the multi-glass dimension.
Yeah, he broke through.
Yeah.
So could we be seeing that, and could Ego start trying to seed the multiverse?
And what was interesting is, Ego was in season 1. We had a couple of end scenes where he was there and showed up. Like, there was one of adult Peter who was working at the Dairy Queen cleaning up, and Kurt Russell shows up to have his one line and be like, hey, Peter. And so thinking back now, it's like, yeah, maybe they were planting the seeds that that Ego would come back and come mess up stuff in this what if timeline, which would be crazy because, as we know, the expansion is what he wants to do to help make himself stronger.
Right.
Imagine the expansion across the multiverse.
So here's my question behind that before we go to our second main question. Let me pivot off that. So Ego wants to make an expansion across the multiverse.
Right.
We've seen this team of, as you call them, pre-Vengers. They were only able to take down a small form, this corporeal form, right?
Yeah.
The planet form is a different thing.
Yeah.
But what is Ego again? We keep listing Ego as a celestial. What does that mean? We could potentially get actual celestials.
there was a moment where they kept talking about Celestials in this. I was like, are we gonna get some Eternals? Like that would be crazy.
Because though now we're introduced to them. Whether it's in a whether this, we know what if is all these what if possibilities, multiverses, all this in a third. And we do know possibly Eternals is in its own different universe. But could you bring them in? Could you bring in those Celestials to tell the actual story that is from the source material? Yeah, y'all, check out the Dream of Celestial saga. That could tell that to go back into this to be the reason to defeat him, because unless you're recruiting a bunch of pre-Avengers, Avengers, all of these different things, young Avengers of sorts, from this however many episodes we're getting, you're gonna need something massive with that amount of power.
Oh yeah, and at least in our universe, we know that the Eternals are here. They're here. They're hanging out. They're just so
are they
Cersei,
here though?
Well,
are they here? Like that's my y'all already know my theory on that.
Yeah. So but if we're going off of our universe, using that as a template, right? Cersei is living somewhere. Icarus is somewhere. All these guys are somewhere. And they theoretically could come out.
But let's go back to it. Do you think Ego is the big bad, or is it something else?
I think it could be. Yeah. There's, as we know from season 1, there's going to be an overarching narrative to connect all the stories. And because they've already planted him in season 1, and because we've gotten now him in season 2, I think that he can be. Yeah, I would say that's a very safe bet that he will be.
I think.
What do you think?
I can't agree with you with that. I think that it'll be a better usage, and I hate to say it this way. I think this in What If, because it's animated, allows for a better usage of Ego the Living Planet than what we got in Guardians 2.
Right.
And I am a James Gunn fan of what he's done in the Guardians trilogy. I make no secrets that I feel like Guardians 2 was way too much exposition and way too long. But I think because of this animated, like you said, him appearing in season 1, now dropping the seeds in season 2, no pun intended, and now we could go to it. If there's another threat, I'm fine for it. I'm fine with Ego being the threat, because I don't want you to say, well, because people will go, well, what about Galactus?
Sure.
And I would rather save him.
Oh yeah.
For the actual MCU itself.
Yeah,
proper.
there's Galactus is way too awesome of a big bad to premiere in the animated show. Don't get me wrong, he'd be a great addition, but yeah, it would be much better to see him in like the Fantastic Four movie in a Secret War situation. The only thing I'll say is if Ego's the big bad, and then again the story is he wants to do the expansion in the multiverse. This is now the third time we're gonna get Ego wants to do the expansion as the big.
But that's all he's wanted to do, though.
Right, that's all he's wanted to do. So part of me is like, I do hope he's not, in a sense, or I hope it's a different. I hope we get a different kind of story, because
you want
now
a
in the
different
movie,
motivation now.
yeah, a different motivation. Because in the Guardians 2, he wanted to do the expansion. In this episode, he wants to do the expansion. So I know that the multiverse is there, and having an expansion of the multiverse would make him really powerful. But I just hope it would be, that was the story in the first season, right? Is that Ultron wanted to, the power of the multiverse, right? So. It would be interesting to see what they end up with, and I would hope it wouldn't be as straightforward as just like, okay, now Ego wants to every What If season is going to be someone wants the multiverse, right? Or wants to. That's what I'm saying. I hope it's something a little bit different and more unique, because we already got that.
Don't you think that would have to be the thing? Because if we had a villain that just wants their world,
right?
What
are the stakes?
What are the stakes?
If in this multiverse show, we're not talking about the multiverse. That's a good point. What are the stakes?
What are the stakes then? So, but that's another thing. We'll ponder that as we go through all the rest of these episodes. But another big thing is this is our second, like I brought up earlier, this is our second Captain Marvel pool in 2 episodes.
Right.
In the first 2 episodes of What If, we had Jan Rog in episode 1, which was a damn good episode.
Yep.
And now we have Mar-Vell, Wendy Larson.
We even have the Tesseract mentioned with the engine. We have special
Goose.
plane. We have Goose.
We have so much Captain Marvel in this episode alone.
Yeah.
Now, do you think we will get Maria Rambeau as Photon possibly?
I think so. I think it would be a missed opportunity if they didn't, especially since we just had the movie out. She's already been seen in WandaVision. I mean, she's an existing character. And so if it's not, maybe I'll talk about Monica too, but yeah, either of them. I think, and she.
Monica is, because you get her as Photon, yeah.
Right. And if you look at the end of, Captain Marvel 2, Binary, I mean, they've actually kind of, since Captain Marvel 2, have been setting up a lot of the Kree and Captain Marvel lore into the MCU. So I think they are teeing something up, right?
I would think that too. I would think that there's not. I never take any small thing for granted in the MCU.
No.
Because especially when you start seeing these smaller things over and over and over again, that's leading to something like you just brought up. The Tesseract as the engine, Goose, Mar-Vell, Jan Rog. Now we might get a Maria. We don't really need a Carol Danvers.
Right.
But we may get a Carol. We may get a Monica. We may get a Maria. There's so much possibility within that world within itself. So let's go to that now. I do think to answer the question myself, excuse me, I think we do get him.
Yeah.
I do think we get Maria.
Yeah.
But I don't know at what level, besides her taking on her daughter's mantle of, because her code name was Photon.
Right.
On her fighter jet in the Captain Marvel.
Right.
That's the only way I see her right now. Unless she takes her daughter's moniker of Spectrum. They do some, again, this is the multiverse. This is what if, there's possibility.
And in the show What If, this is the perfect opportunity for the MCU to showcase characters that maybe don't always get the limelight in the movies and the show.
Yes.
So this would actually be the most perfect time to have her show up, maybe have an episode that she leads and is, because we know that a lot of other the later phase characters are going to be in this season, like Shang-Chi's coming up and a lot of other, maybe America Chavez, I don't remember, but there's going to be other characters from the latter half of the, of the phases of the MCU that are going to be showing up. So this would be perfect for her to show up too.
So speaking of like characters and stuff, this is a great pool of characters to make up an 80s Avengers team. So let me ask you this, Tom, and for you all watching too, put it in the comments. Who do you wish we could have seen more of?
Man, this was tough because I thought for the most part, everybody got to do something and have the moment to shine. And even to Howard Stark, I didn't think he was going to be in it that much, really. And he ended up being able to pull Bucky back. We got to see Winter Soldier have a character moment. Goliath, like I said, seeing, Morpheus in this was pretty awesome. I think if I had to choose one, I was most interested in Mar-Vell, seeing her as a Kree warrior. We never got to see that really.
Yeah.
We've seen her in a uniform with the Supreme Intelligence, but that was just a projection.
Right.
So her actually being here, her doing stuff, having a jetpack, I was like, we're ready to see her,
I thought she was gonna have the whole helmet thing.
I thought so too. That would have been really cool, or at least like the double pistols. I was waiting for something like that. She did say she had the gravity arm thing that Jan Rog had in the first movie. So hers was one, because we didn't get a lot of her before this, I was like, oh, that would have been cool to see a little bit more, to see her be like the original Captain Marvel. We're using quotes because movies are different than the comics. But yeah, you know what I mean.
I like I said before, I would have liked to see Red Guardian.
Oh, he would have been great.
Because I would have loved to see.
And it's not his time too.
Yes, about his time. And I wouldn't have minded seeing Red Guardian with the Winter Soldier.
That would have been awesome.
Because now one is trying to outdo the other.
Yeah.
Like Red Guardian's like, I should be the leader. Like he feels like he's the Russian Captain America, which he's supposed to be.
Yeah.
And you get Winter Soldier who's like, bro, chill out.
Yeah, we've already seen his shield in the first season.
We've already seen it.
Having it, and it would have been funny to one moment. I'm hoping they'll pay off at some point is in prison, Red Guardian's talking about how he beat Captain America.
That's what everyone wants. That's the moment everyone wants.
And part of me is like, there's got to be another angle to that because Cap was on ice at that time.
Well, he said he fought Captain America. He didn't say he beat him.
No. So, but then so he must have had to fight him before the 40, before 45 or whatever, right?
No.
Okay.
Gotta remember, Steve goes back in time at the end of Endgame and lives a life. He could have fought Steve.
He could have fought Endgame Steve.
Or he could have fought Isaiah Bradley.
Oh yes, or that would have been so. Yes, the other Captain America, the original Captain America. That's what I'm hoping is to see that, because I think there's more to that story than what he was telling everybody in prison. So I would love to see that either in the Thunderbolts, in the What If, or anything.
I would have loved to see Isaiah Bradley.
Oh man, Isaiah.
He was. This is '88.
This is him. Yeah, he's in this prime. Right?
He still has He has the serum.
Yeah, he's probably in jail right now.
He might have been in jail.
Yeah.
Because he didn't want to follow orders.
Right.
But if you needed him for something as serious as a threat, pull him out of jail.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, he shouldn't have been in jail in the first place.
I'm gonna say, if you don't know who Isaiah Bradley is, watch Falcon and the Winter Soldier and then come back.
Please come back. Make sure you watch that.
Yeah.
Do you think, like we've been talking about this the whole episode? Do you think that any of these characters are coming back in future episodes? Are we getting one, or are we going to get a collective?
This is one where it would be a lot of fun to bring them back. Like this has just such a good, they all work really well together as a team, and it was really fun. And it was interesting seeing the differences with how they, like, even just T'Chaka. I was waiting for the kinetic purple wave, but then I was like, sure, he didn't build that yet.
Right.
So he doesn't have that.
It's just a basic suit.
It's just a basic suit.
It's just a basic suit.
Exactly. And also to see the like, it's like the Avengers, but through a slightly skewed lens. It was really interesting to see them working together. And they've already tease a team up.
Yes.
So if they're not going to team up in another another one-off episode, maybe they're coming back for the grand finale that we've been talking about.
I want to go back to T'Chaka. You say that 3 times fast.
Go back to T'Chaka.
I want to go back to T'Chaka real quick.
Yeah.
That didn't have the kinetic energy blast with it, but if you remember, he was able to survive the blast of an explosion.
Oh yeah.
Because he got blown against the wall and everything with Peter.
Yeah.
And he was like, okay,
It was fine.
It was fine.
The vibranium survived a celestial
Celestial blast.
Yeah.
Which do you think that'll play a major factor when it comes to Ego? Because of that little thing now.
Oh,
He survived the blast of a half celestial. Now we don't know what a full celestial will do.
Right.
We're not sure.
Right.
But do you think he plays a major factor going in for it?
You mean T'Chaka or the vibranium?
Both.
He could. That's one thing I didn't think about. So you just brought it up right now. Vibranium isn't from Earth, right? It's not from Earth. It came from somewhere else. We don't know. For all we know, the Celestials might want that.
It might be their metal.
It might be their metal, exactly. It might be what's the judge? Tiamat and what's the judge? Oh my God.
Arishem?
Arishem.
Yeah.
It must be what Arishem's made out of. We don't know. So it would be cool to see that come into a storyline and see that play out. That would be awesome, actually.
You know what now that I think about this Yeah. Let's just do it. Let's just do it, ladies and gentlemen.
Let's do it.
Give me an X-Men.
Colossus.
That we see in this?
Oh, and this? Oh, give me an X-Men that we see in this?
Yes.
I was like, I'll give you just an X-Men. Here you go.
No, give me an X-Men we see in this.
Oh, man. Well, Wolverine.
Because I think now the door is complete. The door is open for it.
I didn't even think of this. The Watcher is going to be looking at his spiderweb prism of universes, and we're going to see X-Men 97, I bet you.
I bet you that's what we see, yep.
I didn't even think of that.
But aside seeing the X-Men 97 in the prison, I think this may actually give us an X-Men.
Yeah, and because Marvel has the voice actors.
They have the actors and they have the rights and everything.
Everything. They could have been in this episode right now. No questions asked.
I think we get a Reed Richards reference.
Oof, yeah, that would be awesome.
I think we get a Richards reference. I think we get something to the Fantastic Four reference. We may get a Latveria drop. I think everything we've been wanting in the MCU, just little bits and pieces, What If will give it to us because now it can.
If we don't get it in the Avengers 5 or 6, I hope we get it in What If. A Human Torch, voiced by Chris Evans.
Oh, absolutely.
And voiced by Michael B. Jordan.
Michael B. Jordan.
Both of them in the same. If we don't get that in the movies, I understand there's a lot to cover. We need that in What If.
Look,
give us that.
There's possibilities, and I hope we've excited you all for all of them. Look, that is it for this edition of Inside Marvel. Guys, look, we appreciate the hell out of y'all. We appreciate you all so much. Remember to subscribe to all 3 channels on the new Rockstars network. And as always, make sure you check out the merch at nerdriot.shop. That is how you support us, how you help us, how you help the channel grow, and everything. Tom, you got anything you want to plug?
Plug Tom on the mic on all the socials. Happy holidays, Happy New Year, or Happy Thanksgiving if that's when you're watching this next year. Who knows when you're watching this? We have no idea.
If you're watching this Thanksgiving next year, you really need to catch up on a lot. You've probably been in prison. Or on ice, one of the two. Mr. J Washington, M-R-J-A-Y. You should know how to spell Washington. On Instagram, TikTok. I tell y'all all the time, I need those follows. I need those numbers. Please follow your boy. All right, we will holler at y'all next time. Stay tuned. Happy holidays, everyone. Take care. We're out. Bye.